Welcome everyone to Blueprint for TradersPost on this November 28th, 2024. I'm one of your hosts, Tom Hartman, part of the marketing team here at TradersPost, along with Peter, not Mike Hartman, also part of the marketing team, while Mike is on Thanksgiving vacation. How's it going, Peter?
It's going great. It's going great. Very happy to be here. Thank you for having me. I am looking forward to the clickety-clack of coding.
While we are very American-centric, one thing we don't do the same time as the Americans is Thanksgiving, because we do Thanksgiving when God intended it, which is back in October, as opposed to in November. Actually, when's our Thanksgiving? It's in October, right?
I don't celebrate Thanksgiving, so
Peter, that doesn't really help with the story here. The whole
I
idea
don't
here,
know. I don't know.
the whole idea here is that Thanksgiving in the United States has been moved in order for it to be a more robust gift buying and holiday season.
Really?
Yeah, that's why they moved it. It used to
They
be the
moved it
same
for
day as us.
shopping.
Yes, which is fine. We're dealing with the retail trading space, and it's anything we like is doing things for a profit. So I completely understand that.
We should move up Valentine's Day then. Let's just bunch it all together. In fact, my birthday. Put my birthday in there
Let's
too.
put it all together. Of course, of course. So today, as we do every Thursday on Blueprint, we're going to be walking through how to get a little bit more bang out of your buck for the tools that we use in order to be retail traders. And one thing that shows up again and again in support tickets on Discord, people ask about it all the time, is this idea of trailing stops and trailing profits, which I totally understand. It's a way of capturing more of an upside move when you are in a bullish state, more of a downside move if you're bearish, and it sort of feels a little bit awkward to leave so much of the trend on the table. After you've nailed your entry, you really want to ride that wave up.
I have no idea what that means. Leaving trend on the table?
Yeah, so you can imagine this. You enter a trade, and then you make, let's say, 5% profit on that trade. You take profits at 5%, you take that profit. But then the price keeps moving another 10% past that. So if you're anything like me, you want to pull your hair out, because you go, well, I would have preferred to stay in
No,
that
but
trend
you
all the
told
way
me
up.
don't try to time the bottom or time the top.
So that's not to time it, right? Well, I mean, I do try to time the top, but let's
Okay, wait,
say
hang on. You're in the trade. You come out of it. You're at profit 5%.
yes.
That's a good day.
Peter, I'm not here for no 5%. I'm here for as much profit as
Then
I
why
can.
come out at 5%?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Instead of coming out of 5, well, the reason you would do that is you don't know if it's going to move 10%. What if it moves 8%? It comes down and then hits your stop loss.
Just from my perspective, it sounds like you're waffling between trader and gambler.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a very accurate portrayal of what I do.
Okay, but TradersPost is about, from what I understand, the way you guys talk about it, it's this responsible trading.
Of course. No, it's about automated trading.
But
TradersPost doesn't stop me from being irresponsible. That's not the problem. The problem is that we're going to make sure that the trades get executed at your broker. That's all we're here
okay,
for. And
so you take your 5%. In one scenario, that's it. You're out of the trade. It goes past. You're pulling your hair out. You wish you were in there. You're saying a trailing stop helps with this?
yeah, exactly. So instead of having your exit be at a specific defined point to begin with, what you're doing is that you are changing what the exit order will be like, what price you'll get out of that trade as the trade goes on. So what we're going to be covering today is this idea here that when we start the trade, right, before we're in profit or anything like that, we're going to have a specific defined take profit and stop loss. Actually, we'll just have a stop loss. But as the trade gets into profit, we'll adjust where those exit orders are so that we're only going to get out of the trade when some specific condition happens at the end. If the price pulls back significantly later on, then we'll get out of the trade, and that'll make it that we get more of the trade. All right. So let me just share my screen here for a second. You get the idea.
Is this something that the average regular trader, even beginner amateur trader, understands what you just said? Is it just me who doesn't get it?
Well, you'll get it in a second, but yes, absolutely. So you can imagine here, let's say you were to get into the trade over here, right? So you get in here. And you might say, okay, at a specific level of profit, let's say a profit of 5%, you would get out over here. So let's say you get over here, get in over here, get out over here. But this whole trade continues, right?
Mhm.
You might only want to get out of this trade, let's say over here, if the price falls down this much, and that way you gain this entire run up here, which would be something like 15%. Now that's a good day. So the idea here is that instead of having fixed levels for take profit and stop loss, we'll adjust the stop so that it'll follow the price. And so at some point, if the price actually comes down to it, that's where it'll exit.
So why would you ever set it at that beginning line, that 5% or whatever? Is it because you think that's as far as it'll go, or is that just a safe bet?
No, so it depends on your type of trading strategy. So for what I'm talking about here for the trailing, it's often very useful for people who are doing a trend following strategy. The whole point is that you're timing your exits because you're trying to catch what you believe will be the beginning of a trend, and the trailing allows you to capture most of that. But let's say you were doing a mean reversion strategy. Well, then the goal wouldn't be to do that, right? If your goal is to, let's say, catch these peaks and only take a profit as we pull back, well, then you really want a defined level. You want to say, okay, I want to at a 1% profit, I want to take my profit because I'm not expecting this trend to continue. I'm only trying to gain a profit on the pullbacks. So then it doesn't make any sense to have a trailing exit. Also, stuff like if you're
By the way,
trading,
you can just pull back from the mic a little bit. Just you're very just pull it back a little bit. You sound very, very manly today, Tom. You've got a booming voice. I want to make sure everybody hears you without their eardrums, feeling your masculinity. Go ahead.
Also, when I trade Bitcoin or when you trade in high volatility asset, at the beginning of the trade, you might not have nailed your entry, and the price might have pulled
Right.
back pretty significantly, and you might just get washed out of that trade before it actually moves in the direction that you're hoping for.
Mhm.
So instead of let's say if my rule says I will attempt to enter into a trade 3 times, so I will suffer my stop loss 3 times before I get into it, I might just say, hey, give me a window of a bigger leeway at the beginning, and when I get into profit, now quickly adjust my stop so that I have a more defined risk as I go on. So I don't have to keep on trying to enter the trade.
And this is
So,
all automated.
well, this is the thing. The reason why we don't have it depends how you want to go about it. The If we were to be setting, actually, let's start a code and then I'll let you know. It'll make more sense within context there.
All right.
So here, let's start off with we'll take a look at the VWAP strategy that we built a couple of weeks back. This is just a simple strategy. It's not promising any profit. It's just giving us an indication here of just giving us buy signals and sell signals that are happening using VWAP. So VWAP, volume weighted average price. Our former script here, all it does is say, hey, at the beginning of the trading session, check to see where the price is versus the previous volume average price level, and then take a long or short accordingly. All right. So that's just a simple example. Let me just go in here to copy the script so we can work on our copy. And we'll save this as trailing stop example.
What would you say is the difficulty level of what you're about to do?
Beginner level, not very difficult at all. Because we're not doing a confluence of different indicators. There's no hard math to do. There's no deep understanding of the Pine script system that we have to have in mind. It's pretty simple. But it's with TradersPost, remember, we're sending orders off to your broker to execute. And with a trade that the price changing on every single candle. So you can't constantly send a new order off the TradersPost in order for it to update at your broker. It would just be happening all the time. You'd have to send an order, cancel it, send another order, cancel it, send an order, cancel it. Constantly, this doesn't make much sense. So it makes sense in trading view, if you're doing a trailing where the price is moving constantly, to have trading view monitor when the price crosses that stop level and then sends an order at that point to TradersPost for it to execute. All right, so over here we have, let's take a look at here. So this is a good section over here. This is what we're just taking a look at before, where we have our entry. Do you see here, Peter? We have our entry, but then the price pulled back to our stop loss level before it actually moved in the right direction.
Yes.
And sure, we can give it a little bit extra room. Let's say we gave it a 2% stop loss. So now we're in it more, but you see here how it actually hit the take profit. So we avoided this getting pulled out of the trade, but we took our take profit level over here, and it just continued to go up for the entire day.
Tom, we have somebody in the chat, Logic1611, who asks if you can repeat what you just said. I'm not exactly sure what that part is, except there was a part where you froze. So maybe take it back if you can.
Sure. So what we have here on the chart is our VWAP strategy that we've created a couple of weeks before. So I'm just showing here the use case for the trailing stop, where here we have a buy signal that showed up. And even though we avoided getting stopped out, we did exit our trade for our profit, but way earlier than we might have, because the profit continued, or the price continued in our direction. So we're going to be modifying the way that this works, so that we're actually, for the moment, we're going to disable the take profit level, and we're going to have the stop move up with us as we go along. Okay.
Thanks for that, Logic. If there's a follow-up question there, please feel free to write it in the chat. I'll be happy to prompt Tom with that. Go for it, Tom.
Sure. So for the moment, what we're going to do is we're going to disable we're going to add an option to disable our take profit levels. All right.
So you're disabling take profit, you're allowing a trailing stop, but why don't you have a trailing take profit as well?
You can. So depending on the time, I'll show that we can do that later on.
I
I actually find that is less useful, because, well, I don't want to go over that at the moment, but I've often found that the trailing stop I prefer way more than the trailing price, where you have the anyways, I don't want to go into that at the moment. It's just that you can actually leave more on the table because of that than you would with the trailing stop. I'll just explain it over here. So you can imagine here that you can tell TradingView, hey, while I'm in profit, once I pass a certain level, let me zoom in a little bit more here. Once I'm past a certain level, if the price pulls back by a certain amount, let's say here the price pulls back by 1%, go ahead and close the position. I'm going to stay in profit, and if I pull back from a high a certain amount, exit the trade. The problem with that, as you see here, is that there's many pullbacks like this that happen, right? And so again, you're not really avoiding that you're not really avoiding the situation where you're leaving a lot of money on the table. That type of exit for the profit makes sense if you're trading a breakout. Let's say you're targeting this breakout over here, so you enter, and the idea is that you're expecting that when the price pushes drastically past a certain level, you want to catch as much of this move as possible. That's a very short-term move. That's where you would want to keep track of what the highest high is, and when we pull back a little bit, exit. But if you're not trading a breakout and what you're trading is a trend, I find that to be less than ideal.
I see. All right. Yako is in the chat. Hi, will you post the code, please?
Absolutely. So the code that you're seeing right now for the VWAP strategy from a couple of weeks ago, that is, you'll find it on our Discord. You'll find it on a previous YouTube video. You'll find it on our blog at traderspost.io/blog. But the one I'm going to be doing today, just like every other blueprint, will be posted again in all those locations, as well as as a comment on this video after we're done. So absolutely, you'll have access to all the code.
Awesome. Logic is asking, are you okay if I have another question here for you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Logic1611 is asking, if I'm using the J Bravo strategy, will this automatically take profit if the candle closes beneath the 9-day moving average?
So the Bravo strategy has its own feature set, its own entry and exit parameters. So I can't actually comment on whether you're it makes sense to pair an outside code with that script. What I would do is ask the community there what makes sense, because it's a existing script that handles its own entries and exits.
Hopefully that answers your question, Logic. If you have a follow-up, please feel free. Oh, wait, he says, basically, I'm asking, will this automatically take profit when the strategy input it requires, I'm sorry, when the strategy input it requires it to take profit? Can you see the chat question? I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah. Let's see here.
Maybe you answered this already, but just following up. Thank you, Logic, for that question. I really appreciate you folks in the chat. Logic is saying he understands. So, Tom, if you feel like there's something to add, go for it. Otherwise, I think he's good. Thank you, folks in the chat. Really appreciate it. Love the engagement. I'm here paying attention to the chat for this whole stream. So if you got questions, feel free. Tom loves answering questions, probably more than coding. I don't know what he likes more, coding or questions.
Both at the same time, which is why we're doing this, brother.
It's like eating a Big Mac and watching a Marvel movie.
All right, over here, I just added a couple of checkboxes to the stop loss and take profit. I'm going to go ahead and make that optional now. So for the stop loss, I'll say that if the stop loss is activated, let's go ahead with the stop loss. Otherwise, it'll be nothing. I should have had you bring your guitar, Peter, and then you could play a couple of tunes.
My guitar is always 2 feet away from me, but my tunes won't be picked up too. I don't play guitar anymore though. I'm a rapper. Remember, I rap. I can rap if you want. Just give me a beat.
Right. All right. So here we have the stop loss and take profit that are now optional. Here I pass an NA value if it's off, because our exit order, if an NA value is passed, that's one of the parameters, it'll just ignore that parameter. So we don't have to like change our exit orders. All right, so let's take off take profit here by default, just for the sake of our programming. So over here, there's a stop loss over here, but there's no take profit level. What we want is for that to be trailing profit. So let me add another one for trailing. I always remember John, the CEO of TradersPost, making fun of my my variable names.
I remember.
Which I appreciate.
Did you come up with that on your own, or are you copying a style that you've seen?
I think it comes from the WordPress world. I don't know. I don't know for sure. I know I'm annoyed by certain. I hate when full words are said in the script, and I like when I'm namespaced with a certain number of characters. For some reason, I like 3 or 4 characters. I don't want anything more. And then I also, when you do find and replace, like if here for alert message it said ALERT, it'll confuse it with alert from the function versus from
Right.
variables and all that. So I just like knowing that when I see that there, that and I do a find and replace, it'll just replace these guys. I don't have to worry about the crossover. And when I see my code show up in other people's code, I can tell because the way that I abbreviate different things.
Good to know. Well, now people know how to more aptly copy your code.
Let's not do it this way. Let's do it this way. We'll say trailing profit. Should we do trailing stop? So we'll say trailing stop. Basically, I just want an option over here that says after the stop loss, if I want it to be trailing and by what amount. So I'm just trying to think of the best way of going about doing that. Let's do it this way. So stop loss trailing.
Mike Christensen in the chat is saying, if you really want to be evil, just use MD5 hashes for variable names.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine? What a nightmare. Don't worry, Peter. I'm sure that doesn't mean anything to you, but
You have to be
it's for
there.
us. It's for us real people. Exactly. All right. So
good opportunity for me to say, if you're liking the stream, if you like this type of content, go ahead and like the video. It helps us know about it. It helps YouTube know that we should be pushed to other people. It really does matter. So go ahead and hit like. If you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. But I don't think we have to twist Tom's arm. I think he loves coding. But, show him some love. Yako saying, I am learning a lot from your coding videos. Thanks. Well, thank you. Appreciate that very much.
Oh, you flatter me.
I love watching him code. Like, I'm not a coder, but I can definitely appreciate the art that goes into it, the science that goes into it. It's really cool. And Tom, I don't know, you're really look, you're the best coder I know.
Very funny.
You're the only coder I know, but I'm kidding.
It's always stressful to do this live.
Do you find it stressful to do it live? You don't seem stressed.
Well, the time everyone's watching, I like the stress of it, but it feels like doing stand-up comedy.
No, stand-up comedy is, oh, I see what you mean.
Like you have this live component. All right, so trailing stop here. It's not going to be pretty. Let's just do this.
Mike says, it's official. Tom is the best Pine scripter on the planet. I agree. 100% agree. Is there a ranking? Is there some type of ranking or competition?
I haven't. I wanted to actually. There are things like that on TradingView, but I haven't actually paid attention to that.
I think you're
too busy stacking sats. Isn't that what they're saying?
Stacking
that's
sats,
what the kids say these days.
I don't know what the kids say, but yeah.
All right. So the idea here is that I'm setting an initial stop loss. Let's say we set this to 2, and I want my so I'm giving myself a large berth, and then essentially as the price moves to a certain level, once we when we cross into profit, let's say we'll set the profit. We'll do that hard coded. Let's say once we're in profit by 3%, we'll go ahead and activate the stop loss. And so I need here a quantity and an amount and a quantity. So let's do stop loss percentage after a certain amount. So after, let's say, 3%. All right, this won't be pretty, folks, but it'll just work. Let's just do it that way for now. All right, so what's the amount of this amount of profit percentage? Okay, so we can tell how much profit we're in because there's a variable within TradingView that handles that. So we're going to say it's called strategy open trades profit percentage. We'll put that in the data window. So over here on the side, 1 second. All right, in the data window, as I move my mouse over here, do you see, Peter, on the right? Actually, let me make that a little bit clearer.
I think in a previous stream you made the text bigger or something. Is this the size that you wanted, or?
Oh, yes, you're right. I could make it bigger. I'm so used to having the text as small as possible. I guess that's a little bit better.
Yeah.
So here on the right side, let me just hide our.
You were showing me something with your mouse. Was there something I had
Yeah.
to?
I'm just going to show that here 1 second. So on the right side, right now we have a trade that's open here through this buy signal. And I can track how much profit I'm in right now through this variable called strategy.opentrades.profit percentage. I pass in the number for the trade. So if I do strategy.opentrades -1, that'll be the last trade that I'm in. So this buy happens here. And if I move to the right, you see over here on the right side over here, Peter, there's a open profit percentage.
Yeah.
As I move my cursor over, it'll tell me how much in profit I am in that trade. So here I'm at 2% profit. So the idea here is that once I get to a certain level of profit, and we'll say something like, let's remove this end session thing so we don't actually get out of a trade.
Mike says making it bigger made it more readable on mobile. So it's good to keep that in mind. Thanks, Mike.
So over here, we're going to say when we get to 3% profit, now we're going to want the stop loss level to move up, to start moving up with the price.
Because it's recognized, that's an indicator that there's a trend happening?
Well, it means that, it means that I'm in the trend. I can, I'm basically locking in some profit without actually exiting the position yet. Because oftentimes people will I'll often see strategies where people will follow this trend and then they'll almost like go right back into it. Or they'll miss out the rest of the trend for the day. So instead of going back into it, give yourself that room, but without actually exiting the position right away. So let's go ahead and we're going to say if we're above that amount, profit level.
You can't see our pretty faces, everyone, because he was pointing to the bottom right corner there where it says open profit percentage. So if you're wondering why we're gone, that's why. Good call, Tom.
All right, so if our position is above 0, so this is our bullish state, we're in a long position. Here's where we're calculating the stop loss. But I'm going to adjust the stop loss here. So I'm going to say if here, so I don't repeat this again and again, I'm going to make this into a variable. Current profit. And I'm going to say if the current profit is above trailing level, then I want my stop loss to now switch to be this new trailing amount. I believe that's what it is, trailing amount 1%. If you guys remember, percent is a method that I created. I think our last stream or the stream before, just to have an easy way for me to calculate what the percentage would be above or below a certain amount, as opposed to calculate it manually each time. So I'm just using percent over here, but if you want the actual formula, it's right in here, right? Just like you would do on your calculator, you can calculate the percentage. All right, so let's see what this looks like.
If you don't use a variable, but you calculate it every time, does that slow down your strategy?
Not for something so small, but it can for more complicated. Whenever you're doing something in programming and you repeat yourself, frankly, if I repeat myself twice, I make a function for it.
Right.
Because it just makes it easier to call and call. And then when I'm making different strategies, I could just copy and paste my functions in there, and I don't have to rethink about it every single time. I don't have to think about typos. I don't have to think about any of that stuff. It's just happening again and again.
Right.
All right. So over here, what we're seeing here is
just let me. I don't mean to interrupt you, Tom. Just when you're talking directly to me, audio is perfectly fine. When you turn directly into the microphone, your commanding voice is extremely commanding. So I don't know. Just like stand-up comedy, if you can just keep an eye on that. But yeah, excellent. I totally get what you're saying there.
So over here, we're seeing that the stop loss is adjusting, right? So that once we get to here, it's a 3%. You see this red line here; it is adjusting, but do you see how it adjusts back?
Mm-hmm.
It's because it's now that it's no longer above 3%, it's saying, hey, now I got to go back to this old calculation for the percentage. So what I want to do for the stop loss for my long positions is that I want to make sure that it's always the highest number between these two. So either it's going to be this value that's 1% down from my current level, or it's going to be the stop loss, but I want it to be the higher of the two. It'll make sense here in a second. So here I'm using the function Math.max. I'm going to pass that and this.
So what does this code part that you're doing have to do with TradersPost?
Well, what happens is that instead of because I'm going to be doing a trailing, well, what'll happen is that I could have TradingView take care of constantly checking to see if I should be in or out of that position, and only when a decision is made, send a signal off the TradersPost, as opposed to constantly sending signals off the TradersPost to modify an order, cancel an order, create a new order. You can imagine that on every candle you could have a signal that's being sent. So you don't want that. You want that to be handled by the strategy in the same way that the strategy handles entering into the position. We don't tell TradersPost, hey, when these two moving averages cross, enter the position. That's handled by the strategy. Similarly, you can have your exit orders handled by the strategy. The time where you want to send the exit orders with your entry order is if you know you're exiting at a fixed price, and you already know that at the beginning, and your broker supports bracket orders. Fine, send that at the beginning. The order is going to be created. It's going to be housed on your broker. You don't have to think about it again. In that sense.
Gotcha.
All right, so here I did correct. So I need the higher of the two. So oh, I'm getting something wrong here. So here, okay. So what happens here is that my stop loss has been adjusted here, but this condition is not being met. So I'm going to say, let's do it this way. All right, so what I'm doing over here is that this stop loss is what's running whenever I am I'm just my normal stop loss at the beginning. So we have my normal stop loss set at 2% down, and then I'm saying when I'm in profit by 3%, I want the stop loss now to be 1%. So I'm using a ternary operator right now that's saying, hey, if I'm in profit by the amount that I expected, go ahead and calculate the stop loss from the new stop loss level. Otherwise, I want you to look at the stop loss that would have been calculated now and the stop loss that was there on the candle previously. That's where we have the square bracket and the 1. And between those two, I want you to give me the highest value. So right now, over here at 3%, we switched, and the stop loss went from 2% down to 1% down. All right? But we want this to continue to move, right? So this is okay if you want to adjust your stop. Like, it'll probably make it easier for you to understand here, Peter. Let's say my initial stop loss was 3%. That I really wanted to give myself a wide berth at the beginning over here, but then afterwards I want my stop loss to be at a higher level. I might even adjust that to be at 0% for it to be a break even, right? If I set this to be a break even price, here the stop loss is now at my entry price. So now I know I can't lose any more than the position that I had in. But I want this number to continuously change. I want it to continuously switch. So I want this always to be 1% down from the highest value. Does that make sense, Peter?
Totally.
All right. So that means I have to track what the highest value is. Actually, I don't have to track what the highest value is. I have to change it from here.
This is like cruise control. Like, if I'm in my car, I can determine how far away I want to be from the car in front of me. And depending on if that car speeds up or slows down, the car will adjust based on that vehicle. You're like putting cruise control for trading.
In a sense, yeah. All right, so over here, I'm going to want to have, I want to track my high and low values. We're just think if this is the way I want to go about it, because there's actually multiple ways to do this.
Take your time.
Let's see here. Peter, you didn't open up a prop firm account yet, right? You haven't started trading yourself.
No.
All right, so here, what I like.
But I mean, I'm not going to start with prop firm. I got to start with just straight up normal stuff.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to switch this up. What we're going to do is we want to check to see, has the trailing stop triggered? This has trail.
Hey, I got some support in the chat. Yako saying, nice example car, trailing stop loss. I didn't know if I sounded like a complete idiot or if I nailed it, but I knew it was going to be one of those two. Thanks, Yako. I'm getting it.
All right, so we're going to say this. We're going to say true. All right, so I'm just going to keep track here if we've actually triggered the trailing, if we actually triggered the trailing. So here, once we get past there, it's fine. So here we're saying use and has trail. That'll be the amount. And if it has, then we want the stop loss to be from the high to the low. All right, Peter, I'm going to have you vamp there. How's the chat going there?
Chat's engaged. Chat's liking what you're doing here. Look, I can tell you that if you're watching this and you understand what's going on, or you can even do it, you're awesome. You're a super nerd, and you're definitely marriage material. All right, women and men should date you. Women and men should marry you. When you go on your first date with somebody, just pull out your laptop and start coding. This is impressive. That's the point I'm making. This is very impressive. So I think people are liking it. I think the people that have gravitated here are the super nerds, and you can do no wrong, Tom. What I'd like to see is you like kind of thinking things through, right? Because often when I see you do things, it's like effortless and easy for you to do. As your brother, I'm liking the struggle a little bit. I like to see you kind of like doubting yourself, wondering, what am I doing? Pretty good.
I'm trying to be interesting at the same time as I'm doing this.
Right. But don't you worry about that. You focus on the code. We're all good here. We're all on your side. For sure.
All right, so if you have, and you keep track of, yeah, that's what you need to do. Keep track of the highest price.
I just realized we're on MicroStrategy.
All right, let's do this here.
Samantha Barley in the chat. She's laughing. Looks like she's having a good time.
I'm taking a look at my notes here for how I did it before. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep track of the high and low. That makes the most sense to me. Because what I want is for the price to be, for the trailing to be offset from the highest and lowest price. Because right now we have it working that it switches it automatically, like it switches it at a specific profit level. But that's not the, we need it to keep changing. All right, so we have that.
So what are you doing here that's tricky or that you have to make a decision on?
Well, I'm just normally when I do this, I have I have trailing stops, trailing profits, session highs, session lows. I'm considering all kinds of different exit parameters. I have multiple take profits. So I'm just trying to remember like what's the base way of going about it. As I'm doing this right now, I'm realizing I copy and paste a lot of my things so I don't have to rethink about it again and
Right.
again. I was a little bit too confident coming into this today.
I totally get it.
Yeah. You know what? Let's just go back to the simple way we're doing it because I don't want to confuse people. I really wanted this to be simple. So let's just go back to.
You know, sometimes it can be harder to do something a simple way than the complex way if what you're used to is the complex way.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's interesting.
All right, so here.
It's funny, I was bouncing a basketball between my legs and around my back with my little daughter, just showing it to her. Then I was like, "Hey, you can bounce the ball." Then I just tried to show her how to do a regular dribble, and I was like messing up, like I didn't know how to dribble a ball. I was like, "Wait, how do you do this again?" Just by thinking about how to do the simple thing, kind of tricked me up. But this is good because I imagine that a lot of people, as they're coding, they kind of face these things. Am I making it too complicated? Am I forgetting some basic steps? So it's good for people to see the world's premier Pine scripter going through. I don't want to see perfection. I want to see realness, authenticity. This is great. Everyone, just so you know, I can talk like 24/7 without pauses. The reason I'm leaving silence is because I love the ASMR of the clicking of the keyboard and just the peaceful silence. So, Tom, don't even sweat it. If I'm not talking, it's because that's what we need.
Sure. I don't know why I'm messing this thing up over here.
Well, let's run it back. Take it step by step.
Yeah, so I just need to, what I want here is for this price to keep moving. So I need this to be always 1% from the highest level. So I need to keep track of the highest level that changes from session to session. So I do need to keep track of the session high because I really need this to be, right now I have this moving up for it to be 1% away from the, over here I have it 1% away from the entry price. But I'm realizing that's not what I really want. So what I'll do here is, here, I'll do the simple way. Yeah, because what I want to do here is that I want to keep track of what the highest price is for every session, and then have my stop loss be 1% down from that. I don't actually want it to be from the entry price. I think that's why I'm having the difficulty. I'm thinking about it wrong. So let's just try the simple way of doing that. So over here, I do want my high. And low. And I want high to be the highest price between these guys. But every time the session changes, so whenever my time frame changes, we have that here somewhere. Whenever my time frame changes, I want you to go back to being the highest price. Reset the highest price. All right, let's just make sure that's showing correctly. So I'm going to plot my high. Let's make you teal. Let's make you orange. All right, let's just make sure I'm getting this right here. Let's remove the VWAP so we can see. Okay, so that's working over here. You see this orange line here, Pete, at the top? It's tracking the highest price. And then here it's tracking the lowest price for the session. And then it resets at every session. So this is a new highest price, this is a new lowest price. And what I want is for the stop to be offset from that guy. So let me change you.
Yeah, that does seem like a smarter way to do it.
Yeah, I'm just going to move this a little bit further along. Okay, so now I want the stop loss to be offset from that. Stop loss was above the price. Let it be there. From the high, I want you to be offset from the top down. All right, let's see what you look like.
What determines a session?
There we go. So a session is when the day starts over. So here it's when it goes from the trading session for MicroStrategy closes at 4 p.m. and then opens at 9:30 the next day for the next trading day.
I see.
All right, trailing 2. Okay, well, that is working.
Live prop firm trading in the chat says, I run my trading bot with TradersPost. Highly recommend. I like that comment. Trading bot with TradersPost.
All right, so it's working here. Let's hide. If you're noticing here, Peter, we have our stop loss initially. And then once we get to 3% profit, the trailing continues. So it trails. We didn't cross that line yet because our session ended before it could have taken a profit. But you can imagine if we were to just lower this a little bit more. Let's call this. Let's bring this down by a little bit. It would have exited the trade here. Nothing we could really do about that. It did actually get down to that level. Let's find a different example. So over. Oh, that's for a sell. Sell. Let's find a buy. You didn't get into profit. I'm trying to find one where a trend actually got captured here. Here we go. So we have here the buy that happens. The stop loss gets adjusted. And then we move. And then here it gets caught. So instead of having just a profit from over here that we might have had for 2%, we actually capture 5% profit.
Wow.
And then the other way for the short would just be the same thing, but opposite. So here we have the stop loss. If the profit is above a certain level, we want the low price the other way around. So if we take a look at this short, it's a buy. That's a sell. Oh, missed one number. It's not supposed to be max. This is supposed to be min. Did I write that right? Stop loss, current profit, low percentage, true, math min, stop loss. Let me just check if I did something wrong here. think so.
While he's checking that, Live Prop Firm Trading in the chat says, just started my channel running that bot. If anyone wants to see results and how it works, he created a trading bot with TradersPost. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone, he says. Well, happy Thanksgiving to you, Live Prop Firm Trading. I'll definitely go and take a look at that. Sounds awesome. Congratulations.
Just taking a look here. Something's off. Hello, math min. Yeah, that's right. Are you noticing anything wrong on my screen? I'm not sure here. This I would have expected to continue. Let me increase the stop loss.
So what's happening? It's crossing the line, but not.
I must have done something wrong with the stop loss here, because here you're good. Entry price, stop loss, true fault. Yeah. Current profit, low percentage. Because I'm shorting. So I wanted to trail the low by that amount. I want the lowest value. Oh, no. I want to.
I know you went wrong, but I want to see if you can figure it out.
So there's my low. Oh, it's because the low was so low. Okay. So it is fine. It's just
There you go. Low. You figured it out. Good job, Tom.
Let's find a good example where a nice trade. Okay. Well, I mean, that's fine. This is a bullish market for market strategies. I don't know why I expected to find a short to work. But the longs are working fine.
So try it on Tesla.
So the price is going up, and then we have the stop loss. All right, so it's 52 minutes in. I don't want to drag this out. I've dragged it out enough already. I'm looking.
Well, first of all, you didn't drag anything out. This is.
I'm looking forward to Mike making fun of me of the how the best PineScript developer in the world.
Well, what happened? So what was the issue?
I was trying to find a way of not tracking the high and low. I don't know why I was thinking I had to go off the entry price. That only matters if you're adjusting the stop loss once. But I needed to adjust it every single time. So I needed to track the high and low, and I don't know where I was trying to find a way around that.
And the second issue was you were trying to short it, but you couldn't short it?
No. I just wanted to find an example over here. What happened was that the price, because we're taking a look at the high and low of the session, what happened was that let me show you here. You see here how the session started off real low.
Mm-hmm.
So here is where it thinks the low is. So it's calculating off of this. So
so when it came down, it didn't come down enough.
Let me see what profit we're in here. We're in profit. Actually, now that you mention it, I should just check this one thing here. Because for the stop loss, our stop loss is calculated fine. Because if we didn't have this, that's where our stop loss would be. Am I resetting the stop loss properly? I am.
Look, just take the whole thing, throw it into ChatGPT. Let's bang this out. I don't even see what the problem is. Right?
I think maybe I'm doing a thing over here where I didn't reset the stop loss. Oh, am I not resetting the stop loss? Let's see here. If
I triggered Tom. He's back in flow state.
Yeah, so that's looked like what it was. Where's my initial stop? All right, here I'm here seeing this calculated correctly. This is how much? 3%. What did I have it there? 3%, yeah. But my initial stop loss here is gone. Why did I erase it? You're supposed to be strategy sell, position size.
I can tell you folks, while Tom is working on this, that those who hire Tom to do a job, this guy will spend, he'll be obsessively trying to figure out, look at him, change the battery pack. Tom, I've never seen that on your camera before. Yeah, he's always going to be doggedly, stubbornly trying to figure out what's going on. So it's the kind of guy he is, the kind of guy I am. Do it right the first time, our mother used to tell us, and we're kind of obsessed with getting it done. I'm liking it. I'm enjoying it. I think it's great. I could watch this all day, honestly.
This is so funny. This is like when I watch a podcast or something like that, and someone says that they're a singer, and then the person goes, "Okay, sing something," and the person goes, I have albums, but I don't want to sing right now.
Well, you're singing right now. You're coding. It's just you hit a stumbling block, but that's all good. So everybody remember, like Tom said at the beginning, this is beginner strategy. So this is easy to do, and you know, don't even worry about it. I can't help but tease Tom. When you have the smartest person in your family and they, experience any difficulties, you got to rub their nose in it. It's called brotherly love.
That's how you do it.
Pretty sure it's called brotherly love.
Okay. Well, anyways, I don't want to. I'll fix this. I'll fix it post and post it in the chat. I'm just, for some reason, I'm not seeing one thing over here. Why am I not seeing that?
You know what I find helps when you're trying to solve a problem like this? This is legit advice, everybody. And for you, Tom, it's just to take a moment, take like a few seconds to take your mind off of it, take a deep breath, think about something else for a moment, and then maybe it'll pop up to you. I can ask you a question. We'll put this in the back of your mind right now, Tom. I do have a question for you. You ready for it?
Let's hear it.
When somebody is programming, coding in a trailing stop loss, what is a common mistake that people might make, or is there one?
You want to make sure that this conceptually about how to think about the trailing stop. You don't want to backfit your results. So you can have you make your script, you see there's a problem with it where a number of your trades are hitting a certain level, it's exiting before you would like it to. And so you sort of adjust your stops so that it just missed out where it would have exited. And so now your back test looks pretty good. Your results are much better, but then you end up in the live market and it's not behaving in the exact same way, right? Because maybe it's a little bit more volatile and it's exiting a position earlier. And so you want to avoid fitting your settings so that it matched over the last year, 3 years, 5 years, whatever, these perfect scenarios. I've seen people with modifications like settings in their script where it's like 2.13%, and I go, okay, you really are trying to specifically match a backtested amount. But that's like the biggest mistake that I'll see.
That's funny. That's actually similar to mistakes that video editors make. That's why I'm a video editor, where they will correct the color of their footage based on their monitor, but not based on actually like percentage, percentages, so that if somebody watches it on a different monitor, it looks messed up to them, but it looks good to them, to the creator. So you actually want to understand the numbers and the math that you're using, and not just try to fit it. Oh, it looks good here, so it'll be fine somewhere else. At least that's the way I'm seeing it. All right, well, that's cool. I like that you kept up with that. I thought I was going to stump you, but I didn't. I have one question, a fun question to end off our stream, when you're ready to let it go, which will probably be never, which I honor. I definitely honor that.
It's actually working fine. I was actually making the wrong mistake. What I'm not liking here, what I want to do is like make it work really nice in
Right.
the setting, but it's actually doing it correctly. It's just that I'm doing it so like, fly by night that it's not how you would actually program it in. Like, these are not the final settings you would have in a working strategy. They're just
see.
the idea of how to actually program it. So let's leave it at
Oh,
that.
good.
I'm going to be posting this code. Let me just clean it up a little bit, and I'll post put some notes inside of it, and I'll post the code inside of the TradingView group. But it's been fun. I enjoy this. I have learned my lesson, Peter, that even the world's greatest PineScript developer is going to find it difficult on live stream to do it. But that's what this is all about. Perfect. So
Well, I got a question before we
Yeah.
go here. It's Black Friday. Everybody, you should know there's a Black Friday. It's still ongoing, the Black Friday deal for Traders Post.
that's right.
It's what is it? 10%, 20%? What was it?
Big 40%, our biggest sale.
40% sale Black Friday. A lot of people are taking advantage of it. This is the time, so go ahead and do that. Tom, Black Friday. I want to ask you, is there what was
Press the wrong
how
button.
how rude?
Put up the ad.
How rude. Yeah, let's see this ad. It's a beautiful ad. 40% off. Wait, hang on. I'm just now thinking about that. 40%? That's a lot.
it's quite a bit. Well, it's like what is it? TradingView has 70% off their yearly subscription.
Wow.
That's happening right now, so that's pretty good.
All right, I got a
40%
question.
off is like downright, normal compared to that.
All right, I don't want to keep everybody too long. I do have a final question I want to ask you, maybe a fun one to end the stream. You let me know when you're ready for that.
All right, perfect. Let's hear it.
40% off. All right, BF40YR LY. Just remember that code, and you can get 40% off.
It'll be on the website. You'll find it there as soon as you go to TradersPost.io.
Fantastic. And you can also go to X. The heathens say Twitter, but Papa Elon, nope, I will not disrespect you. It's definitely X. You can find the codes there in case you don't know, and subscribe, because there's promotions and different things that happen. We also let you know when the stream goes live. So subscribing to Twitter X is a great idea. Tom, Black Friday sales, they're still ongoing now on Amazon. We've talked about your keyboard, which I think you really love in order to do coding. Is there something else that you purchased or could be purchased that helps you with coding? It could be aesthetic, it could be sentiment, it could be practical.
The
Anything-
Logitech MS Masters 3S mouse. I don't know what I was doing before that. I just like a dupe on my trackpad, which I loved. And now I can barely touch the thing compared to
I don't
all
use
the
it.
features.
I disconnected it. It's completely useless. This thing is amazing.
I was going to sell my trackpad again. I think I'm just going to break it and throw it into the garbage. I don't even want to see it anymore. I don't even think about it.
Anybody who messages you to buy your trackpad, you just like, look, what you really want is the MX Master Mouse. Tom, we got some people in the chat here. Jonathan, CEO, says, hola, Jonathan. Hope you're enjoying your American Thanksgiving. Sup, Tom and Peter. Hey, how's it going? Tom, this was a lot of fun. Love the clickety clack. I feel like I understood what's happening, so I think you must have done a good job explaining, because in case you guys don't know, I'm the dumber twin. It's
Clearly.
just technically that's just but all right, what you got, Tom?
That's it. We're going to be here tomorrow. I'll be back with Mike for after hours. We'll go over some market commentary. Next Tuesday, we're going to have office hours again. So if you have any questions, please feel free to let us know. I'll be back next Thursday for more blueprint walkthroughs. If there's anything you want us to go over, we always take your suggestions into consideration. So please post them into Discord or send us a support ticket. I'm happy to oblige.
We have Saran Shigmeg Badam Junai, who slipped in a question right at the line here. You got that last question, how to get Trading Bot. How do you get the Trading Bot? Is that for you? Is that for Live Prop Firm Trading? I don't know.
I am going to be posting the code for this inside of as the first comment on this video. Give it an hour or two, and it will be there for you folks.
Fantastic. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure, and we'll see you guys later.